Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of That Creative Life. I have my friend Jon here from your own self-titled YouTube channel now.
It feels good to say it.
Yeah, and formerly TechnoBuffalo. So let the audience know a little bit about yourself and the awesome tech videos that you make.
Thank you. So I'm a geek, and I do geek nerd things now professionally. I used to run a website called TechnoBuffalo that no longer is a thing that I run. So now I just get to focus on what I love, which is making tech videos and hanging out with fun new people.
I love it. And you're based in LA, right?
Yeah, so we're SoCal based.
Yeah. So there's a lot of cool tech that I want to get into and actually talk about. But first, I kind of want to talk about your journey of making videos for 10 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah,
I'm
10
old.
years. And then also making a website because TechnoBuffalo has always been tech news. Very, I'm sure you try to cover like everything, or is it strictly phones? Is it strictly computers?
We tried at some point to cover almost everything that touched technology.
Right.
So this is back when YouTube was like cat videos and guys getting hit in the junk. I wanted to buy a new laptop and I didn't know how to use. I was getting a Mac at the time. I was coming from PC and I was looking at YouTube for how to use it, and I had no idea how to use it. So I kind of liked researching technology. I was the kind of guy that would just go to Best Buy and like walk around to relax on a Tuesday. So I figured I'll make videos. Why not? It's an excuse to research a camera. Had no foresight. That's why my YouTube channel name was John 4 Lakers. It was my AIM screen name.
Yes. Mine was Chick 22 Sara.
Yeah. Clearly no foresight that anything was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then just started making videos as a hobby, and they kind of caught on quickly, mostly not because I was doing anything well, just because nobody else was really doing it yet. And then the YouTube partner program started maybe about 8 months later, and it was invitation only, and you had to apply. So I remember thinking, all right, I'm gonna try it. I found the guy's name who was running the partner program, and I wrote him a handwritten 2-page letter. I was like, you know what? I had 8,000 subscribers. I'm too small to get accepted. I didn't meet the thresholds. I was like, I'm gonna try something.
What were the thresholds at that time?
I believe it was 12,000 subscribers. It was his old subscriber base.
Close.
I was close.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm gonna write him a handwritten letter. So I wrote a letter. The last handwritten letter I've ever written, by the way. And I got one back. Essentially, it was like, okay, we're going to accept you. Please never write me again.
Wow.
And I was working in marketing. My whole family is medical and physicians, and I never knew what I wanted to do for a living, but I knew what I didn't want to do. So I was working in a job I hated. So we're hoping.
Were you basically like, I don't want to be a doctor?
I was 100%.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into medicine, but I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
The only talent I've ever had in life, I think I've ever even been okay at, was talking. I'm like, well, I guess I'll be a lawyer. So I worked in a law firm and hated it, and I was working for marketing at the time, hoping that I'd get in a small car accident so I wouldn't have to go. Mm-hmm. And then very quickly, I was at income parity with making videos and going to a job that I hated for 50 hours a week. This is probably 2006. And so
what was marketing back then? 2006. Selling banner ads?
It wasn't even, I'm talking old school marketing. It was print and
gotcha.
Sending
campaigns and mailers.
Yeah, the new marketing was just kind of starting.
Yeah.
And so I'll always remember sitting with my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and be like, listen, this is 2009 now. The economy is horrible. Mm-hmm. I'm leaving my job.
I have a job, but I'm leaving it.
And I'm going to make videos for a living on YouTube. It was
what was her reaction?
I mean, this is when I knew I wanted to marry her. And she was like, I believe in you. Try it. What was terrifying was trying to tell her mom. Super conservative. Mm-hmm. My daughter is going to be homeless and hungry for her whole life.
It's so funny.
So I did, and that was the scariest moment of my entire life.
When you entered the partner program at 8,000 subscribers, I mean, the first few months, what were the paychecks? $50 here, $100 there.
So it's crazy to look at what CPMs are now.
Yeah.
But back then, I think the first check was $1,200, which was
okay.
It was insane. I mean, I was like, this could be real money.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm gonna try it, and started making 2 videos a day, and I was like, this is awesome.
Wow, 2 videos a day.
But this is back then. It was a handy cam with the built-in mic.
Yeah.
I think I was editing an iMovie. I mean, it was real old school days. And so it kind of grew, and I did it like that for a while, and I started looking at like tech websites, the big ones at the time, Engadget, Gizmodo, and CNET, and no one was doing video. So I thought like I would like to get married one day, and maybe I could make a little more money if I could do video for somebody else, like for a website, so they don't have to worry about it. So I wrote letters, not handwritten,
That's good.
to like all the big websites to be like, hey, can I make video for you? And nobody got back to me.
Wow.
This is like I was mid-20s, very full of myself, and a liberal arts major from college. I had no business experience at all. I was qualified for nothing in life. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a business. And I'm going to start a publishing business because I know zero about it. So I Googled how to write a business plan, filled in the blanks. And at a local college, they were doing a fast pitch for venture capital. So I was like, I'm going to take my new business plan. I'm going to go pitch it to real investors on a topic that they probably don't understand. And I got laughed at. Like, have you ever done any of the VC stuff or been involved? It's terrifying.
I bet so. Well, I'm such a consumer of podcasts about startups and all that, and I love to be an outsider looking in, but it would terrify me too.
I think I was too naive at the time to be scared. I was like, I'm gonna crush this.
I love the creative side of stuff. So if I would have to sit and write a business plan for days, I don't even know if I would get past that part.
I mean, it was like paint by numbers. It was like just filling what is your idea?
So what was that experience like?
So,
I mean, how many people were there from the college?
So there were 5 VCs like sitting at a table, and it was kind of like Shark Tank. You had like 3 minutes.
Shark Tank.
Yeah, like 3 minutes to pitch, and I pitched, and they laughed at me. Like, Sarah, they like guttural from the pit of their stomach, like laughed. And I don't know if it's because they didn't understand like video and it was a paradigm change, or they were
what
like,
year was this?
I want to say 2008, probably. So like, internet was coming on, like YouTube was starting to be more established, but like
it was
just
one
like
of those things where you were probably a little bit too early, but at the same time.
And also, I'm sure my business plan was horrible. So there was one guy that laughed like extra hard, and so I tried to swallow. Like I was pretty upset. Yeah. So I waited for the guy afterwards, and I was like, want to know, like, so I'm not trying to attack you or anything, but like, how can I not have you laugh next time?
Yeah.
Like I didn't have any money to start a business myself, and he said, either get older or go back to business school. So I applied to business school at night. So I went to UCI to get an MBA to learn how to run a business. Because I had no idea how to run a business.
And back then, you didn't have YouTube channels that were like, this is how to form a business. Step 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, there was nothing.
Yeah.
And business school then was like, here's how you like create a product. Like you have your supply chain. I'm like raising my hand. I'm like, what if you're online? And they're like,
he's like, good luck.
Yeah, have fun. So I went back to school and wrote a business plan and was able to get it funded, and then sort of TechnoBuffalo came from that.
Was that kind of the same vibe? Did you go in front of VCs and was it the pitch thing?
I never did that again.
Because that takes a lot.
To this day, I've never gone back to pitch.
Yeah. So it was more of like maybe friends of friends,
Yes, I bootstrapped, and then like a private equity guy just reached out one day. It was like, hey, I like what you're doing. Like, I have some bucks. Could we maybe work together?
Yeah.
And so it worked. And trying to run a website with no publishing experience is hard. And then when you're independent, competing against CBS, AOL, and Vox dollars, is like extra hard.
And so, how did you incorporate video in those beginning days? Would it be an entire article, video linked at the top, and then the article provided more context? Or
so that's kind of how it was.
Like?
So the video is always centric to it. But obviously, you can write more articles and you can create videos.
Yeah.
So the videos, we'd write articles that would go with the video. So if it was like whatever, the iPhone 4 review, to have the video there and then a little bit of content. And I should have realized it early on. I was doing too much. I was trying to run a website and doing video, and I wasn't really doing anything well. And I kind of just like kept doing things mediocre for a long time, which really hurt in the long term.
So what do you think? Because, no regrets. TechnoBuffalo made you who you are. But in terms of written word, blogging, having a website, do you think that there's value in that to people today?
For people who want to start a website,
Yeah.
there's absolutely value in it, but I didn't realize,
Like with all the social medias, right, into
Yeah.
play, like do you think it's more worth it to maybe just write a Medium blog post instead of pushing people directly to a site?
it's less worth it now, I think, than it was. I mean, I had to learn how online advertising works. I had to learn developing and publishing tools and SEO, all things I had no idea. If you just want people to see your content and it's not like a financial endeavor, Medium, social, and there's a lot of other ways to get your voice out there much more easily than the unnecessary path that kind of I went down. And I love TechnoBuffalo. I wouldn't change how anything happened.
Just a lot of work.
It was a lot. It was like a lot of work. And then as I was being like spread thin, it was when sort of kind of the golden age of tech happened. We started seeing like guys like Marquez and, John Morrison from TLD, like artists creating this like visually beautiful work. And I was not doing that. And so it hurt growth for a while.
When was the point that you started prioritizing video? I mean, I know, when you made the announcement in January, already things are beautiful, amazing.
Thank you.
Your videos have always been amazing, but you can definitely tell there's been a shift. Did you have earlier kind of like aha moments of, guys, maybe we need to step this up, or maybe we need to do X, Y, Z? Like, do you remember having kind of a shift away from the website earlier, or?
Yeah. Maybe like early 2018, I started to realize like nothing that I was doing was sustainable.
Right.
And something had to give. I had to pick one path.
Right.
And I always loved video. I mean, I've had a passion for it. I love being a part of it. And so it was a very conscious decision that something was going to have to change.
Right.
But
it's so tempting to do everything. I can totally relate to that. And I feel
I
like
can do it all.
Exactly. And I feel like that's an important thing for people starting out as well, to not try to do it all. I mean, it does go a long way to be really good at one thing, and then always down the line, you can change things up, have your content in different places. But I think in the beginning too, it might be worth it to dabble in stuff, so what's best for you. But in the beginning of the, I don't want to call it a blog, it was a website, it was a publication, monetization. Did you, yeah, so like banner ads, was that the main partnerships you would have, or would you have more involved, or maybe you would write like a sponsored post?
So we tried to do it all. Having no publishing background, I didn't know what was acceptable, appropriate, and suddenly there are these journalistic standards that like we had to.
Ooh, what are the
adhere to.
journalistic standards?
All right, so
Tell me.
A year into what we were doing, I got sued.
What?
Oh, here's a story.
Okay.
So Droid Bionic, Verizon had this phone that was coming out a long time ago. It was like a
Droid Bionic.
Cool name.
What a name.
Cool name, silly phone. And it was like day of like leaks, where like if you had an exclusive, it was huge traffic. Right. So somebody who worked in a printing house that was making the clatter material that was going to be inside of the box, I think like their son was with them at work one day and saw these printing materials. It was an unannounced phone. Took a bunch of pictures. It was awesome because it was the specs, it was everything about this, and sent it to us. And I was like, this is a gold mine. Thank you. So we obviously published it.
And you guys had the exclusive.
Exclusive,
so, yeah.
Anonymous source. And then the printing house sued us. Now, I had no experience with lawsuits. They decided to serve me at my house with a uniformed officer on a Sunday. I mean, so like, it was terrifying. Oh my God. Terrifying. I mean, my wife answered the door. It was really scary. And then Motorola got involved. Motorola was backing the printing house before Motorola sold. And so I was living month to month.
Right.
I didn't have a lot of money to fight a lawsuit. So I had to make a decision, like, we just like give up the source, and sort of somebody's going to jail or someone's getting fired.
It's that serious? Like, you'll go to jail?
That's what I was like, who, like,
yeah.
So like his dad had signed confidentiality agreements, right, and so people would have been fired. So I The printing house was in Chicago, I should mention. So I contacted a lawyer and decided to fight it.
Yeah.
I was gonna try. So we fought it, and then the more we went on, the more we realized that if we had lost a lawsuit, it would have been precedent for websites to have to reveal sources and more lawsuits. So I fought this for almost a year, and this was a time where it was probably the scariest time I've ever had, because I had employees, so I was paying them, but I didn't pay myself for 5 months. I was living on credit cards, and our website was like, be sleuthy, stealthy ninjas and send us leaks. And so their attorneys were like, this is not a real website. It's not a real public, they shouldn't be entitled to journalistic shield laws. And
Interesting.
so we had to essentially say, we are media, we're journalists. So it boiled down to we essentially were paying the tolls, but we couldn't drive on the roads. So the verdict came in and we lost. The judge ruled against us that we did not qualify as media. So that by default would have spread to other websites, not being...
So that's not good for other people.
Would have been super bad. So we essentially filed an appeal. It was a motion for reconsideration, and the judge reversed his decision, which was awesome.
There you go.
I have it framed.
I have
a framed article in our office from the Chicago Tribune
that was the
talking about it.
biggest sigh of relief.
It was the most amazing sigh of relief. And then I countersued the owner of it just got way out of hand. I countersued him and had an officer. It got crazy.
Had an officer sent to his house.
It seems like most of my stories start with I was young and stupid, so I did this to show him. So all things like that. This website had been around for a year. It wasn't making any money.
Yeah.
I had to adhere to these new standards that I wasn't aware of.
Right.
So
what qualifies you as a publication?
So it was never black and white, but that lawsuit essentially declared legally that anybody who's disseminating information and adhering to standards for sources and citing, properly citing where you're getting your information from, is covered by state and federal shield laws.
Interesting.
So that was new.
So that would be, if you did everything right, you would basically expose this little kid who then would be responsible for that. And then they would just take actions against him, and you would have been in the clear.
And so if I had given up the source, I would have said who the kid's name was. His father would have been terminated and possibly arrested.
Wow.
So it was super scary. Real.
And then that kind of ruins send us stuff, because then you don't want to be held responsible. And so you were really kind of trailblazing it. You were,
scary. It's TechnoBuffalo versus John Burns. So you can look up the case, or John's Burns. It was a horrible experience.
Wow. And I can only imagine the stress just infiltrating everything in your life. I'm just stressed about getting 2 videos up a week. I can't imagine someone suing me at the same time.
But then I was also trying to make videos too while this is going on. And so that's when things started to go down. I developed insomnia. It was a real scary. People only see one side of the camera, right? So people see
100%.
your videos or hear your podcast, and they're like, she's got it all. She's successful. Look what she's built. But no one knows the work.
Definitely not stressed at all.
Yeah.
Ever.
But what you had to do to get to where you are, and the work that goes into putting up one video, let alone 2 every single week.
Right. And that's why I think video is so valuable. And luckily I've been having some really cool conversations with people who aren't necessarily even YouTubers, but people who, who've opened up video production studios. It is so valuable. And I think that you've seen from shifting from the website to YouTube, with brand partnerships, with ways to monetize. Money is in video. It just is. And I think it is because it's harder. It takes more effort. It takes gear. It takes, luckily, a lot of knowledge is out there. A lot of tutorials are out there. But there is kind of this barrier of entry that maybe writing, you can just write. Or pictures, you can just take a picture. And so there is a lot of value in it. I'm glad you got through that. Goodness gracious. I'm surprised you continued the website after that.
It was hard. Honestly, I continued it because people were relied on their livelihood for the website.
Right,
Like, well,
right.
If I close it down, then people are going to be out of
Did
out
you
of
get
jobs.
bumps in traffic? I mean,
Yeah,
after that, because like were people interested in the suit? Were you able to share about it, or
I was able to talk about it a year later.
Okay.
So I finally did, and the traffic was okay. It had normal like undulations up and down, but yeah, traffic definitely like increased from there. But it got to the point where I was working like crazy, and I was, what the site was making, I could make from like 2 videos, 2 sponsored videos. I was like, well, why am I doing this? Like I'm an insane person.
Yeah. With the the website now is sold to what's
Mobile Nations.
Mobile Nations. And so I was looking them up. Are they like an MCN or just like a conglomerate
So
of things?
they own a bunch of websites.
Okay.
And then they just sold for like, I think it was like $250 million, like an insane
so
amount of money.
They sold.
Yeah,
Who
so
did they sell to? I thought they were the big kahuna.
I mean, they got swallowed by a bigger fish.
Okay.
Fortune. Bought them.
Casual.
Yeah. No big deal.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What was the order of things? Did Fortune buy them up, and then they have capital, and they're like, oh, let's buy some more things?
They bought us first. So I had known them. I'd read their websites for a while. I thought I wanted everybody who was working for TechnoBuffalo to, if possible, to keep their jobs.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find a publisher that already needed writers and needed staff, so that way they could keep everybody with them. And I'd known the guys there for a while, so I reached out, and the deal came together within 8 weeks.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was from first
Amazing.
conversation to contracts was done. They were honest. They did what they said they were going to do, and they made it really like a very simple process.
Amazing. And so now are you finding a new joy in videos now?
Yes.
Like, tell me about this new
Making
start.
video is amazing.
Yes.
The best thing I ever did.
New year, new you.
The best thing I ever did in video is hire people much more talented than me to make like this see-through skin tone look more.
I think
look human.
I think I might. Yeah, I'm definitely wider than you. But that's not a hard.
I mean, color correcting like us is not easy.
Yeah.
So like Matt, who's sitting here, is incredibly.
What's up, Matt?
Shout out to Matt.
Shout out to Matt.
Really talented. I found people that had a passion for video that could take things farther than I ever could. And now that we're all untethered, we can do what we want. And so that's been awesome.
Yeah, you're like, I'm free.
I mean, I wake up every day excited. We can try stuff. I'm not spending 5 hours a day in like advertiser meetings and worrying about SEO anymore.
That's exciting. And do you think with because you had obviously a lot of momentum, and at what point did you hit 1 million subscribers? Was it
a couple of years ago, I think?
Okay, yeah. And this has been your job for how long did it take you to like get to the monetization with Techno and the YouTube channel?
I quit my job in my last real job in 2007.
Okay,
so for a while.
Yeah. And with the like brand partnerships and all of that stuff, has it been smooth? Are you like looking forward to do bigger projects? I know Jonathan and Austin have their own like production as well. What are your hopes and dreams now?
So I just want to be around creative people. We're actually working out of Jonathan's studio right now.
Oh, cool.
Like that's those are creative a group
That's
as
such
there
a cool
gets.
setup.
It's an awesome space. I'm like, we just took the loft upstairs, and so now we're filming there. So I don't. The entrepreneur in me is like, I'm gonna start a new studio, and I'm like, I want to like punch myself. Like don't do it again. Just make videos.
That's
Stop
amazing.
it.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah, your brain instantly just goes like, how can I make this as big as possible? And so
yours do the same. I feel like
100%.
We're all wired weird.
Yeah, and I mean, this is what I've been trying to get at with everyone too. Is like I'm really working on delegation, and as a person who has always been a kind of like a creative first, but very into like I read the books, I watch Gary Vee all the time, like I'm obsessed with the business world, but I've always hit the wall of delegation is difficult. What do you mean I have to like explain something to someone? Shouldn't they just know how to be me, right? And so that's something I've been working on lately. So from the get-go, it sounds like you were able to find good people, work on the website, work on video. So has that always been kind of a skill?
I mean, I don't know if it's a skill, but hiring people that are just much better than me at
Right.
like big holes in my knowledge, has been really helpful. And I know that I wouldn't have done anything if it wasn't for people that worked like that were just better than me at a lot of things. I think I just got lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I just like was just in the right place, right time, and people were in the right place at the right time.
How many employees do you have at Techno?
So at our peak, we had 15, and that was probably a problem.
Wow.
That was probably a problem too. We got this private equity money. I'm like, oh, I'm going to grow huge.
Right.
I need an office, and I need a staff, and I need all these things, and like I didn't need any of that.
But what was the structure when you brought on those people? Like, how many people did you have creative? Were there sales? And then did people have managers, or did everyone answer to you?
So having no business experience, I was like, well, this is just how a business is run. Like, here's an org chart, because that's what like businesses have, right? So, brought on editor-in-chief, and then we had managing editors, and then editors that worked under them, and then specific editors. And then it all ultimately filtered through me, so then I became a bottleneck. Yeah. And so I was hurting the website, and also trying to make videos, and I couldn't do as many videos or the quality that I wanted, so I was hurting the video
What was
side.
your time split in between like managing and then creating?
At the beginning, it was probably 50-50.
Okay.
Up until a couple of years ago, I was probably spending 60 to 70% of my time like managing stuff and 30% like making videos. You know how it goes when you're don't have the time to commit. Like you can tell in the final product.
Yeah. I've just stopped answering emails.
Yeah, it's like, sorry.
I gave my manager my login, and I'm just like, I'm just going to go make some videos and do some podcasts, and I'll get back to my email in a couple months.
Like, I won't reply to you anymore because of who I am as a person. Like, I'm sorry for that. Like, I mean, what you're growing and running is huge.
Well, Jonah over there, he's my first employee, which is exciting.
Congratulations.
So, yeah. So, that's been a fun process. And,
So how long has he been here?
A month? Or you've been on payroll for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
And he's
figuring out
and he's still
that.
here. Congratulations.
Yes, exactly. So I think we're maybe doing something right. But yeah, it's so intimidating too. And especially when you're somewhere in New York, and I'm sure California is very the same, there's taxes on everything, and like, oh, what is payroll, and figuring all that out. And
it's terrifying. No one tells you how to like run payroll or do
I
employment
know.
taxes.
So I guess it's just something that, just like you, it's finding good people around you and like letting go. I mean, that was terrifying, especially in the beginning. The thought of having a manager alone and giving them that responsibility, I was like, no, I got it. So it took me a year of like courting a manager to actually like get one, and then hiring people out. And what I've discovered is I could never commit, so I was just getting a lot of freelancers to help me.
Yeah.
Because it gets to a point where you can't do it all.
No.
Right? It's just way overwhelming. But with the speed of YouTube, you might need an editor tomorrow, but they're already booked up, right? So it kind of got to the point where it was scary, but I didn't have any other options because I'm like, I need someone every single day.
So is editing the biggest thing you're delegating out?
Filming and editing, just pieces of that. So I actually really love editing. The fun part about filming, I guess, is being a personality and like having fun and then seeing that in the final product. I love gear. So that's an interesting part of filming, but a lot of times I find myself like dreading the filming, but it's always exciting for me to sit down and edit. Not when I have a bajillion projects. So for me, it's...
Do you see the final product in your head while you're filming, like as an editor?
Kind of, yes, yeah. In the beginning, I kind of started with like travel stuff, and I would just go and capture anything and everything. And I thought editing was the coolest thing because I really enjoyed making the story after the fact and seeing, I felt like a crazy person. It gave me so much like happiness. So it's kind of getting back to that where, okay, does Sara really need to edit a what's on my iPhone video? No. Hopefully my personality can shine through and I can find someone who's, more talented. Maybe they'll like find some fun memes in there that I wouldn't. But how do I get back to really enjoying editing again so I can like pick and choose what I want to edit?
So you're picking the projects that you're editing?
Yeah. So that's where I want to get to. So it is still very hands-on. But it's been cool to now kind of juggle other stuff. And getting 7 to 8 hours sleep now.
Look at you.
I mean, come
That's
at
impressive.
me, guys, right? the occasional CES or, conference thing. Of course, I'll get no sleep for there, but that's what you prep for. That's why you get 7 to 8 hours sleep for those events, right? Did you go to NAB or any of the recent ones?
So I didn't go to NAB this year.
Okay. What are you feeling right now? Mobile, laptops, computers?
I mean, things are changing. It's like a cool time. So
yeah.
I think today you were at Samsung.
Yeah.
I was there yesterday with the Galaxy Fold.
If you're watching,
Durability test.
All right, so that's the durability test of the Samsung Fold. If you're watching the video version at youtube.com/Sara Dietschy, hit the join button.
Now you need to go watch the video to see how this survived.
You can see the video version. It survived. I don't think we have any dents, but the Fold is one of those first things that you feel like you're in the beginning of something really new.
Yes.
I think the phones have been kind of lackluster for me. I mean, this past year, it's gotten to the point where I'll cover the iPhones, I'll cover the Note, but everything around it, OnePlus will reach out to me and I'm like, guys, I'm tired. Your phone looks sick, but I'm tired.
Yeah.
Let's start out with the Samsung Fold.
Okay.
I want to talk about the overall, what does this mean for phones in general? But what are your initial thoughts?
It's a folding phone. That's cool.
I know. And you have the green one. It's so pretty.
So,
can you just show off the green here? We'll go here.
So if you're listening, go watch the video.
Yes.
So you can see, what is this? I think it's Martian green, this one's called.
I love the gold. Oh, Bixby. Be quiet, Bixby. I love the golds.
See, I'm digging the blue. I got to do a little swap action here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's foldable phones. Like, imagine the phones that have been in your pocket for the past, 7 or 8 years, right? They've been like versions of the rectangle. Mm-hmm. They've been slightly faster, better looking rectangles, right?
Mm-hmm. Just little upgrades here and there.
Yeah.
A few more megapixels in the cameras. A few more cameras. So many cameras.
So, but now you've got something that's entirely new form factor. And obviously it's a Gen 1. You can see how it's going to get better for Gen 2. Yeah, there's a crease. The bezels are ridiculous on the front. But it's a foldable phone. And just realized that. Mm-hmm. And so I went to the Apple store yesterday and held it up next to I don't know why it still exists, iPad mini. Mm-hmm. I'm it's pretty much having an iPad mini that you can fit in your pocket or your purse, and it's always with you. That's cool, right?
It's crazy. And I can't, just looking at it, I cannot, wow, the magnets, they're sticking to the table.
What?
That's insane.
Oh, that's neat.
That's so wild. Seeing the space in between, I cannot wait when that is just non-existent. And everything is screen, to where I feel like we're going to be living in this movie future that we've seen, where just this entire front is screen, everything's screen. Maybe this is a screen, and then you just have no space in between. I see it. I see
it's not that
Gen
far
3,
off.
4. I feel like everyone's gonna be having a version of this.
Do you care about the crease in the middle? Because people are
I really
super
don't.
up in arms about it.
I really don't. I mean, I was watching full on YouTube videos with it. Okay, I will say the only annoying thing is, and I understand the magnets have a purpose and that's such satisfying noise, but I feel like I'm going to drop this thing.
When you open it,
when I open
it's really hard to open.
It's hard to open,
yeah.
And I will definitely drop it again. We had the first exclusive drop test here on the podcast, but the crease really doesn't bother me that much. And then watching YouTube videos, I just watched Casey's video on it, and it's a really good point of, you go to the gym, you want to watch Netflix on a bigger screen, you just open up your phone, and the crease does not get in the way. But what do you think this means for phones? Do you think Apple's gonna dabble? What are they gonna do? What is Apple gonna do? What's their response?
What's Apple gonna? So Apple, I mean, obviously does a lot of revolutionary products, but Apple is super reactionary, and they're let's just wait, let's see how things happen. Yeah, 5G phones are coming out, but let's ship one in 2 years. And see. So if there's anything un-Apple-like, it would be a foldable phone. Mm-hmm. I don't see them doing anything like this for 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, I would love and I feel like we're getting close to this. I would love just a fully, and I don't know if it's practical, but a fully bezel-less iPad. I'm so ready for the future of just glass screens.
Yeah.
I don't know how practical that is, but you watch all the movies, and you're I want that.
I mean, iPad Pro is awesome.
Yeah. Do you use the iPad Pro regular?
I love my iPad Pro. The only knock on the iPad Pro is iOS. It's a phone OS on a giant, powerful screen.
Yeah. So what do you see in the future, the next few years of Apple? Because I have my own thoughts on their creative professionals. I feel like we're being left behind, to be honest.
Yes.
But in terms of iPhone, I mean, they got me. You know, they have me for the foreseeable future. But creative professionals, what can we expect from them?
Okay. So I want to back up one sec,
yes.
though. So like talking about the Fold, though, like that's something new that you can't get anywhere else. Right. So if you're an iPhone user and you want something different, like that's something new. Yeah. So for creative professionals, Apple like promises a lot of stuff. Like remember almost 2 years ago, like new Mac Pro, it's coming. It's going to be modular and you're going to love it. And you're going to be able to add, you want more RAM, you want a better video card, like we got you. And then.
Which almost seems laughable from Apple. That's something that's always on our wish list.
Yeah.
But to really see that, I mean, that would be interesting. And you did a video actually of talking about it and kind of, having a version of it. Could it look like this?
That was fun to make.
Yeah, that was
so
really
we
cool.
Imagined what it would look like.
Yeah. Do you think when?
I think
what?
Between now and never. I don't think modularity is never going to work.
Really?
I don't think so.
Why do you not think so?
So first price and then connectivity. If you take like a motherboard and you plug in a graphics card, you're plugging it directly into the motherboard. If you're adding like magnetic modules, like that's got to connect through something. And then imagine the price, like the Apple tax associated with that. Yeah. Seems insane. And Apple was trying to flex super hard with like the trash can Mac Pro. They're like, look what we can do. We can innovate and it's awesome. And the thermals are horrible and we use small video cards. But sorry about that.
Do you think in some places in tech, like innovation is just not needed?
Yes.
Is that one of those spots?
I mean,
like
I feel,
tower PC, like that vibe.
I feel bad for saying that, but like, yes. I mean, I think in Apple's trying to over Apple things. You end up with like the cube and the trash can. And it's cool and it looks awesome. But for somebody like you who lives and breathes on their computer, I mean, you went away from Apple. So what were
RIP.
Why did you go away from Apple? And being an Apple person using an iPhone.
Such an Apple person, right? So initially I was having a lot of issues with my 2016 MacBook Pro Touch Bar. So I got the version, it wasn't the very first version, but it was when they updated it to the Kaby Lake processor. And I was so used to just having no reliability issues. The one before that was a 2012 MacBook Pro. 2012 to 2015, the golden age.
Yeah.
I mean, those
ports,
those laptops were so, I mean, you could drop it, you'd be fine. They were so not delicate and they were still pretty thin in regards to the time. And just entering an SD card into that laptop, what? Good times, right? And the display was nice. And so I kind of went into buying this new 2016 MacBook expecting the same things from it. And the Touch Bar, the most useless thing ever. The most useless thing ever. I mean, what? Just keep the Touch ID. That's basically all that we need, right? And I still to this day, I know people are like, USB is the future. And Thunderbolt 3, amazing, great, love it. We don't need 4. We could go with maybe 2 or 3, put a USB-A, put an SD card slot on the side. And so connectivity was such a huge thing. When I travel, I need to be able to be as mobile as possible. I cannot have all of these dongles hanging off from everywhere in my little, airplane seat, luckily.
You forget the dongle to attach an SD card.
You're screwed.
You cannot do your job.
I can't tell you how many times I've had to run to a Best Buy or run somewhere to just buy another adapter or buy a dongle. And so it really started with that. And then as I was testing out PC laptops, my keys would become sticky. I got the sticky key thing on my MacBook. And so it was just really a frustration. And Premiere is shit on MacBooks for some reason.
It is really bad.
And I think, again, I don't think it's all Apple's fault, but Apple does Apple programs really well on Apple, but that's it. The moment you start bringing in other programs, I think that's when you start having issues. I'm sure half of it is Premiere being buggy as hell. I mean, it really is a buggy program. But the moment I started editing on a PC, a Windows laptop, on my desktop, just not the same problems. And so it took me a while to figure out what Windows laptop? Because I mean, you used the Surface Book for a while, right?
Yep.
I mean, what was your experience with that?
So I made the same thing. Premiere was premiering on it.
Yeah.
But I really liked switching. I hadn't looked at a Windows laptop in years.
I mean, they've gotten so much better.
Windows 10 has gotten really good and exceeds what you get for Mac OS in a lot of ways. So I mean, I absolutely, there's so many more choices.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the XPS that you love, you've got the Surface line, Razer, you can pick.
Yeah.
So Apple, I think, is losing.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't wait to see their laptops in 5 years. They're going to be amazing, right? They have to be a response, because hopefully.
I mean, what, like.
Or are we going to all be on iPad Pros by that time?
I mean, so could you. Okay, so we got a video next week. It's like all about the iPad. And it's like, here's what the iPad needs. It is so powerful, the iPad Pro, but it's running a phone operating system. Like, why is there like an inch of space in between icons? Like, that's unnecessary.
Mm-hmm. How do they solve that? I mean, what is the perfect fusion?
So I'm thinking, and it seems sometimes even weird to say out loud, but the OS needs to be almost forked. It needs to be Pad OS, iPad OS. The iPad does more than a phone. Mm-hmm. So being able to have more customization options, more power, usability is huge. I mean, if you try to like use a dongle and plug in SD card in iPad Pro, like you can't access the files. I mean, you can't.
What's the work through? Like maybe an app? Like, I guess, does SanDisk have an app or something?
Like sometimes you can third party it, but like you want to plug in a Samsung T5 and access your files, like you can't do that, which is weird on something that's that powerful. So there needs to be better file management. It just needs to do more, better use for multitasking, and it's still running a phone like operating system,
right?
Which is really holding it back. But what it does do for media consumption is incredible.
Mm-hmm. And I guess we've seen with apps like LumaFusion.
It's incredible.
Poor Adobe. They're pushing the Adobe Rush so hard. They're trying so hard, but then LumaFusion comes out and it's like,
so good.
Psych.
It was so good. And so like John Morrison edited like a video that I would have never in a million years imagined was edited on an iPad Pro.
Mm-hmm. I still need the setup. I don't think I'll be ever editing on an iPad. But it's really cool to see also what that means for who's getting into editing. Yeah. And I think the barrier for entry is shrinking every single day, which is so exciting. Do you see, in terms of prices and people, it's crazy because I feel like we get in this bubble where it's our job, right? So something that's $2,000, $3,000, it seems rational in our heads, but really the average consumer, what do you think is most important to them at this time? Like, is the iPad Pro worth that $1,000 price tag?
No, I don't think so. Whatever people want to do with it, you still have to change what you want to do to suit what the iPad can give you. I think when you can do whatever you want and the iPad will change how it performs, like you can with a PC, that's when it'll become more worth it. If that analogy makes sense. You want to edit on an iPad Pro, you have to edit a certain way. You want to edit documents, you got to edit it a certain way. So I don't think it's worth the price for someone who's not like in the industry or doing what we do. There are other options. You've got the lower priced iPad Airs now, even iPad Minis. If you want to get a tablet, there are much better options.
Do you think this weird blurry line is going to get blurrier, or are we going to start seeing people getting bored with phones or tablets? Because with reviewing all these PC laptops recently, Windows laptops, I don't know, people get, Sara, PC is personal computer. Technically, everything's a PC. Windows laptops. You're seeing these 2-in-1s. You're seeing even my XPS has a 4K display that's touch,
which is crazy,
which is awesome. It's like super fun. So you see these Windows-based laptops really doing everything, and the XPS 2-in-1 you can flip around to where it is just a tablet. And then you have, just iPads, tablets in general. iPhones are getting, or just phones in general are getting massive. Now they're folding. What do you think is going to go first or lose consumer interest first? Because as a consumer myself, I'm I'm going back to smaller phones, actually. That's the 10R, I think, is really the perfect size. I got really bored really quick with the plus size and like the Note, but the foldable's interesting. And I tried iPads, but for some reason I never go back to my tablet, you know.
What do you use when you're traveling to like watch a movie? Flying to California.
I watch it on my phone.
What?
Yeah. Or I'll have my computer and at work.
You're one of those.
I'm one of the, but
okay, so that's interesting.
You know, like, what do you think do you think there's a place for all of this?
I think people are expecting their PCs to do more than just be a laptop that you type on. Mm-hmm. So I think so what you do is I'm probably behind the curve actually. So you can, flip your screen around. You can do more than just, edit or work on a Word doc. So the expectations of what the machines can do, I think, is changing. It's not just a computer. It's how I watch movies. It's how I'm creating content. It's how I do everything. Some form factor is going to become dominant, and right now it's still sort of the clamshell laptop. But when Microsoft started with the Surface line, like the Surface Pro,
that was the first aha moment for artists too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, interesting.
You can do that.
Yeah.
And you look back to like the iPad, like that's the goal, to get to that point where the computer will change itself to suit you. Right. And I think that's what the expectation is becoming.
Right.
And
I guess having more options is always a good thing.
Always a good thing.
Right.
So you never fold your laptop around. Who cares? At least you can.
Yeah.
Like, you've got the option to do it.
Right.
Like, great.
Right.
I mean, your Dell has no bezels on it. Like, that's crazy.
They did put that stupid Windows Hello camera on the freaking bottom of it.
Oh, the up-the-nose camera?
Yeah. Ugh. But they're definitely going to fix that in the next iteration, because they did with the XPS 13. Have you seen that white one?
Yeah.
It's nice.
We took a look at it. It's so good looking.
It's a good looking laptop. And I think that's why I think people are going to start this journey of like realizing there are other things. It's so funny to see pictures. I just saw this picture of one of my friends talked at a college campus, and he took a selfie with the kids. Every single kid has a MacBook. I'm like, that's so interesting. First of all, these people in like $3,000 computer, or they can have the lower MacBook. It's interesting that just people are still thinking that that's the only option. So I think we're going to see more of a variety in the future, because PC laptops are actually stepping it up. But yeah, is there any other tech we should talk about? Do you have AirPods too?
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's talk AirPods too.
Yeah.
So before I say anything, what's your opinion on AirPods too?
So they are still in my box. Because I'm like, it's one of those weird things. I don't know if you suffer from this, but it's everyone's already made a video on it.
Yep.
And I didn't make the cut really of like getting a video out.
Same
and I'm
thing.
like, is it worth it to make a video? But AirPods are a huge part of my life. I walk around with 2 just in case one dies. I always have AirPods in my brain.
So you have backup AirPods?
Oh, I have backup, and now I have 3 AirPods with AirPods too.
Impressive.
Do you love AirPods? I love AirPods.
I love AirPods, what they do. I think AirPods 2 is not the most ridiculous sequel that I've ever seen. And I think what Apple did was kind of crappy with them. So those were ready in mid 2018. Remember, the box had said AirPower on it. So those were done and printed.
Why the delay?
So I think they wanted to wait to ship them with AirPower. So they were held and then figured AirPower was in shipping and then just released. So Apple had this product that was done, held it for marketing purposes, and then released something that really the only benefit is wireless charging, and they charge more for it.
What is the technical difficulty with AirPower? Why was that so difficult?
So I'm gonna get extra nerdy.
Please do.
All right, let's talk a
do.
little bit of physics.
Yes.
So wireless charging has coils, and the reason it works, you put the phone on, the coil generates electricity and also generates heat. The whole thing that made AirPower cool wasn't just like, hey, it's a wireless charger. So you could put stuff anywhere and it would charge. So throw your iPhone, your Apple Watch, your AirPods on, didn't matter where. You didn't have to line up with a coil. They're trying to put so many coils in such a small space that it was going to blow up.
Interesting.
And so they killed it. So now you have a product that was released probably 6 months later than when it was done. And Apple's going to leave that on the market now for presumably at least a year.
Yeah. I wonder why they couldn't have just added maybe a matte black option.
See, okay.
You know,
Like you like look different.
I know.
I agree. I agree with that. I love AirPods, but I'm kind of mad at AirPods too.
Yeah. I mean,
But having said that, I did buy them and I use them and I do
yeah.
wirelessly charge them.
I shamelessly say that AirPods is the best thing to come from Apple since the iPhone. Hands down.
Yeah.
Because it's the only product that they've released since iPhone that has radically changed my life. Especially commuting.
Yeah.
Subway, you know.
I have never seen more AirPods than walking around New York. I was shocked.
Guys, it's a lifestyle. It really is. AirPods in New York, they're peanut butter and jelly.
So would you try the Galaxy Buds?
I'm going to try them for the first time because they ship with them, which is awesome. Imagine an iPhone being shipped with AirPods. That would never happen.
So the most Apple move, they made an awesome product with AirPods, but they did it in the phone. They took away the headphone jack. So they were selling you back like a feature for was $160 and they came out.
I've never thought about that. That's kind of depressing. They're smart though.
So smart. And we're all like, hell yeah. I'm totally happy to give you money.
Yeah. No, but they're great. Let's end on a note of maybe inspo. People out there who might want to start something with video. Maybe they do want to start a website.
Okay.
They want to start a blog. What is your advice to those people? Do you say, no, just make videos?
So if you want to start a blog, learn the industry first. I went in totally blind because I didn't know any better. So learn if it's a financial for you, learn how online advertising works first. And know what the constraints are and be willing to adhere to certain set of standards. I think is important if you want to be considered a journalist. To anybody that wants to make video, the best advice I can give is find your own voice. Don't copy anybody else's. Take influence, but find your own voice. Otherwise, if you're just imitating somebody, why would somebody watch you instead of that person? So, take influence from what you're doing or anybody else. And, you don't need to spend $10,000 on gear. You can make awesome videos with your phone. You don't have to go buy phones to review them. You can go to an Apple store and check out stuff there. You can go to Best Buy and give your opinions on stuff that you see there. You don't have to mortgage your future or spend every dollar you have to be competitive. And I think most importantly, have fun with it. Yeah. And if you lose the fun, then do something else.
Definitely. And I think that's something with the tech scene that newcomers really have to be creative with is you already have people in the scene who are doing it, who have the following, who are getting these exclusives, they're getting the phones. So by the time, maybe it hits when the phone hits your door, when you've ordered it, there's a bajillion videos out there of it. So I think there's a good opportunity to get creative with it and to do something different. And how can, you might see it as a crutch, but I think it's a blessing to maybe infuse it with some new fun tech stuff, guys. Think something you do.
No, that's a really good point. We're making videos, we're not going to shoot better B-roll than John Morrison's going to do. We're not going to have a better looking video than Marquez. When we realized that and stopped trying, that's when we start having more fun.
Exactly.
More fun with the videos.
And sometimes I always think that creativity, when you actually put it in a box and you have limits, that's when you actually have to be creative and you actually do have to think outside the box. And I think that's when you get stuff that's good and it's surprising. And we need more of that. So, John, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me. This was a blast.
Yeah, and I'll definitely come next time when I come to California. Hopefully I'll have a driver's license. I can go visit all you guys down there in whatever that city is. It's beautiful over there.
It's nice. Claremont.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun over there with Austin and Jonathan last time. I need to renew my driver's license, guys. California is very hard when you don't have a car.
It's big and spread out.
Yeah. So make sure to check out John in the show notes below. Where can people find you if they're too lazy to go down there?
You can Google Jon Rettinger, but otherwise it's the very unfortunately named youtube.com/Jon4Lakers, just JON number 4. And then Lakers, because I didn't know that this was going to be a business. Same thing on Instagram and Twitter.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on. It was fun chatting with you, and congrats on everything.
Thank you.
Yes.